Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our Philly cheesesteaks, our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
Dell's early Black Friday starts now with savings on popular PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
The undefeated Horned Frogs into Austin for a high-stakes Big 12 showdown with Quinn Ewers and the Longhorns.
November college football with all the pressure of the playoff chase.
Saturday Night Football presented by Capital One. Number 4 TCU and number 18 Texas. Saturday at 7:30 Eastern on ABC and streaming live on the ESPN app. The greatest story ever played.
Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Max Kellerman.
I'm the only dude in the history of the National Football League that ever wrote a book. It still lives on. The title of the book still lives on.
You know what? That's true.
People use the reference all the time.
One of the most famous football books ever written in terms of the title.
Like Shaq say, they should just give him the damn ball just like Keyshawn.
Key, Jay, and Max. Mornings on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
WYNG 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. A lot of ways to interact with the show here this afternoon. You can give us a call at 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. You're stuck with just me today. Kev Nash is out. He has other responsibilities with other radio stations here under the Alpha Media umbrella. Nonetheless, as you can imagine, I'm not liked enough to work for some of the other radio stations here in this building. So they're like, Kenner, you just hang out on your ESPN station, and Kev will go do other things nonetheless. But no, Kev will be back with us here in the coming days, starting tomorrow. So excited about that. Love this time of year. College football playoff rankings coming out. The college basketball season officially has tipped off. The Dayton Flyers tipped off their season earlier in the week with a big win. Not really a big win, but just any win is big, but a win against Lindenwood. You got to see a lot of that new talent, or some of the returning talent with Sheriff Amps and some of the incoming class that, of course, is highly anticipated for UD. They got a big one with SMU coming up on Friday. But tonight we get to see the Wright State Raiders tip off their 2022-23 season. They welcome in the last year's A10 champions, Davidson. Davidson coming to the Nutter Center here tonight. Davidson comes to Dayton often, usually playing at UD Arena. Tonight playing at the Nutter Center with no fear of putting fans in the stands for Wright State. So just keep that in mind. But nonetheless, that's a big one for Wright State to tip off the season. Really excited about that. Of course, Amari Davis, Trotwood kid, transfers to Wright State in the offseason coming from the SEC with Missouri. Actually started his playing days over at Green Bay, also in the Horizon League. One of the most unique players that I've watched play, mainly because obviously he has a shot now, but, his freshman year, the kid from Trotwood, Amari Davis, averaged 16 points per game, only attempted 4 3-pointers all season long. I mean, that's hard to do in today's basketball, especially as a freshman, to average not just double digits, but 16 points per game and not have a 3-point shot and be a guard and be, one of the best guards in the league. Pretty exciting stuff there. So, but nonetheless, Wright State tonight against Davidson. Chris Collins, the voice of the Raiders, will join us coming up at 3:40 to not just talk about tonight's season opener, but the expectations for this team coming off of their first NCAA tournament win in program history last year, coincidentally enough, at UD Arena in the NCAA First Four. All right, I want to open up rankings reaction. Yes, I know you guys are all saying, man, I just wish you guys talked more college football, right? For some of you who get a little annoyed with the abundance of college football talk. That's fine. There are way more people that enjoy it than don't, and that's always been my take when it comes to Ohio State college football and others. But last night, kind of a boring rankings reaction. We kind of, as exciting as the weekend was, we kind of all had an idea of what the top 4, top 5, top 6, even 7 was going to look like. I'm not going to lie. Ohio State being at 2, people think I hate Ohio State. I do not hate Ohio State. The one thing I try to do, look, I'm not perfect at my job. I know I upset a lot of people along the way. But the one thing I do not like or care for or respect is media who become super fans of the team that they cover. You could say what you want about me and my Browns fandom, but even I criticize the Cleveland Browns. I make fun of the Cleveland Browns. Believe it or not, I have Cleveland Browns fans who can't stand me because of a lot of the things I say about the Cleveland Browns. You don't have to agree with that. You can roll your eyes at it. That's fine. I criticize the Bengals. I'm not a Bengals fan. I'm a Browns fan, so I already have a dislike for the Bengals because of that anyways, but we have fun with that on this show. It is what it is. But I criticize the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm critical of the Ohio State Buckeyes, not because I'm trying to stir the pot. I love when you guys try to psychoanalyze everything the sports talk radio show host does. Oh, he's just saying that so that people listen. Well, yes. My boss, when he hired me, said, Kenner, I need you to, have people listen. Okay. That's what I'm doing. It's the same thing, when David Jablonski puts out a Dayton Flyers article on Dayton Daily News, I'm going to go to you know what? I'm going to do that. Next time I see him tweet something or post an article on Facebook, I'm going to say, oh, there Jablonski goes again, writing about the Dayton Flyers. He's only doing that to get clicks, right? Yeah, that's his job. Oh, Kenner, only talking about the Bengals and the Browns and the Buckeyes to get people to listen. Yeah. Oh, you're only doing that to stir the pot. I'm not stirring the pot. It's my opinion. In fact, if I did what my bosses would actually want me to just a little more, it would be to take my foot off the gas a little bit. But I don't have my foot on the gas because it's honestly what I think. So when it comes to the Ohio State Buckeyes, I do not have scarlet and gray blinders on. You guys do. 95% of you do. Fan is short for fanatic. That's you. That's not me. I am a fan, but I'm not like over the top when it comes to the Ohio State Buckeyes. About a month ago, I was in fact making some people mad because I said Ohio State was the clear-cut number 1 team in the country. And I believed that at the time because they looked like the number 1 team in the country. They are not the number 1 team in the country right now. And I don't care what the playoff rankings show. I do not believe Ohio State deserves to be number 2 in the rankings. I don't play into the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. I kind of crap on Michigan from time to time just because, Shaw. But right now, Michigan, the one thing I could say about Michigan, and they came in at number 3 in last night's rankings, they should be number 2. I think the 2 most consistent teams in the country are actually Georgia and Michigan. Georgia and Michigan, there has not been ups and downs with them. It has been from the start of the season to now, they have steadily improved and have consistently improved. There's no bell curve. There is no up and down. My goodness. Like, it's just been from week 1 to now. People keep bringing up Georgia and their inability to, remember they kind of were struggling with Missouri about a month and a half ago, back in, end of September, heading into early October. The Kent State, where it was like close in the first half. Folks, if you're going to play games like that, you're supposed to do that early in the season. It's more forgivable when you're doing this in September and early October because the season's just getting underway. You cannot struggle in November. You just can't. It's not my, maybe it's my rule. I don't know. The committee seems very forgiving of Ohio State. And we'll get to why in a moment. But the two top most consistent teams right now are Georgia and Michigan. They pummel every opponent they run into. Georgia doing their thing. Georgia, when you look at the combined win percentage of their opponents, it's 59%. Tennessee's combined win percentage of their opponents actually comes in at 60%. Ohio State's comes in at 51, Michigan 56. So, like, the bottom line is that some of these teams, when you look at this right now, like Ohio State, it's not as if, they are playing a difficult schedule. They're not playing a difficult schedule. Notre Dame, you guys should be big Fighting Irish fans right now because they're propping Ohio State up big time. You want to talk about everyone saying that everyone assumed that Alabama needed LSU to help them. Well, Ohio State needs Notre Dame to help them because honestly, there's not a big difference between Ohio State and Michigan. And the difference actually is technically Notre Dame beating Clemson over the weekend. Michigan should be number 2. Ohio State, 3 straight weeks, we have come out of these games saying, well, luckily they played Iowa. Well, luckily they played Penn State. Luckily they played Northwestern. Luckily they've played these teams that their deficiencies haven't cost them anything, not even a movement in the rankings. So for all of you out there who believe in this SEC bias, I'm here to tell you that I don't believe in SEC bias, but I am a big believer in Buckeye bias. I put this out on Facebook last night when the rankings came out. I'm not anti-Ohio State, but I'm watching Ohio State, and I see a team that still is trying to iron out their deficiencies. Michigan and Georgia, they're just pummeling teams, and Georgia's pummeling good teams. Michigan's playing nobody, but you know why we know they're nobodies? Just look at these scores. Look at the end results of these games. I think Ohio State's a better team than Michigan, but I think Michigan's playing better football. This isn't about the best teams. We have talked about this ad nauseum for months now. The college football playoff is not about the 4 best teams. It's about the 4 best resumes. And right now, I think Michigan's resume looks cleaner than Ohio State's, mainly because they're not struggling with teams. They're pummeling teams. That's all. I don't care about what happened at halftime with Michigan and Rutgers. I was ready to pounce on Michigan for what I saw for them at halftime. Then they came out, they steamrolled them, shut them out, put up 50, called it a night. But yeah, for me, the rankings were about what we thought. Tennessee moved from 1 to 5. I was real curious to see how much they were going to punish Tennessee for losing to Georgia. They put them right there at number 5. To be honest, I still think they should be at number 4. I don't think TCU should be ahead of Tennessee, but Tennessee, TCU's unbeaten, but they're going to lose to Texas this coming up weekend, so I'm not going to get all hot and bothered by it. TCU will be out of the equation. The Big 12 will be out of the equation coming up this weekend. That's cool. The Pac-12 is mightily, involved here. Seeing that, USC is as high as they are. Seeing the fact that Oregon is as high as they are. When USC and Oregon meet in the Pac-12 championship, and that's my prediction as far as where this is heading, USC would have beaten Notre Dame by that point. They would have beaten UCLA by that point, and then they would have beaten Oregon by that point. So I think USC has a very good chance. The Oregon one, I'm still on the fence on because I don't think you can get blown out. Tennessee got beat up pretty good. It wasn't like a blowout. You got beat by 40 plus when you're talking about what happened between Oregon and Georgia. Oregon and Georgia was a complete beatdown. Oregon, you know what I mean? Tennessee and Georgia manhandled Tennessee, but maybe I need to put them both in the same category. But I think the manhandling that we saw Georgia put on Oregon was significantly more dominant than what they did against Tennessee. I don't think if Tennessee and Georgia play again, it's the same exact result. I still think Georgia's the better team, but I don't think it's the exact same result in the way that they went about doing it. But nonetheless, I think they got him right. I don't think there's anything you can question. I'm glad they put TCU technically up there, reward them for their unbeaten record. They'll be out of it, but still for me, Tennessee, I would have had it 4. I would have had Michigan in front of Ohio State, but Buckeye bias. Ohio State, there is a bias for Ohio State. The same bias that you guys claim the SEC has, Ohio State has it as well. And that's fine. That's okay. All I'm saying is stop calling SEC bias because the same bias that you say exists for them exists for you as well. Ohio State gets the benefit of the doubt, the same benefit of the doubt that the SEC gets. So you guys need to stop complaining about that SEC bias because you benefit from it too. Ohio State doesn't deserve to be at number 2, but they're there because of Buckeye bias. They're there because of they get the same treatment that these SEC schools get. Ohio State's getting the benefit of the doubt, and that's perfectly fine. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Let's see. Josh Maloney says he agrees. Kozar on YouTube says an A-10 team traveling to Wright State never mind. I'm not trying to stir that pot today. I promise you that much. But nonetheless, talking college football playoff rankings reaction, as I mentioned, the Buckeye bias has Ohio State at 2. I'm not anti-Ohio State. I don't have a bias for Ohio State. I don't believe that they are as untouchable as people make them out to be. I think it's a program that averages 1 national championship a decade, which is more than most. Don't get me wrong. But I also think that they underachieve with the talent that they have on this roster. We constantly talk about the wide receivers, the running backs, the O-linemen, the quarterbacks, the DBs, the pass rushers. How great Ryan Day is. I don't think they have enough national championships to back up the talent that they have on this roster all the time. Ohio State shouldn't be struggling in the month of November. And stop with the wind excuse. I'm tired of hearing about that. 518-1410. Thumbs up, thumbs down to what you saw in the playoff rankings from last night. Rankings reaction right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be partly cloudy, a high near 72. Tonight's going to be mostly clear, a low near 45. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $37.99. Get everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Why wait to save? Dell Technologies Black Friday event arrives early with select deals on top tech to power business productivity. The savings start now with up to 48% off performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, including free shipping on everything. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Black Friday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
I'm Faith Daniels, and we have the pleasure to chat with Blake Maislin, Mr. 444-4444. When accidents happen, who do we call?
Well, you call me. You call 444-4444, and you let us get started immediately.
That means a dog bite, a slip and fall, a car accident. Blake Maislin is the call to make.
That's exactly right. We'll come to your house. We'll go to the hospital room. But whatever we can do to help, that's exactly what we do starting on day one.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Blake Maislin, 444-4444-wantmore.com.
You need employees.
Tell me about it.
Actually, tell us about it.
Why?
Because when you tell us about your job openings, we can tell over 300,000 other people.
You can?
Yeah, whether you're looking for a job or a better job, Alpha Media Recruitment can help fill any position with qualified job seekers with a custom plan that combines our broadcast and digital platforms.
You can do that?
It's what we do. Alpha Media Dayton, on air, on site, on demand. Call 937-519-0111. That's 937-519-0111. Or email DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com. That's DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com.
Did somebody say flatbreads? If you haven't already, you need to get to Twin Peaks and try out the new in-house made flatbreads, featuring 4 options, including the Hottie Jalapeno Popper, Hawaii 5-0, the Italian, and the OG Pepperoni. Ask your Twin Peaks girl for more details. And don't forget, no one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for the E-Club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com/Peaks Club to get started today.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Dear online threats, after all the time we spent together, I'm finally ready to say goodbye. I have to admit, I was careless. At first, I thought maybe you were not so bad. Then, after you moved into my software, I believed I was too weak to stop you. I was wrong. I can do better. So you know what? I have NordVPN now. See you? Never. Everyone can boost their digital confidence with NordVPN. All it takes is one simple click. NordVPN will block online trackers, hide your virtual location, and secure your device from malware-infected files during downloads. It will also detect malicious websites. So catch the Black Friday deal for a 1 or 2 year plan at NordVPN.com and get 3 months for free. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Big news out of the National Football League, and look, this is, I want to say I'm surprised, and I'm not. I was actually pulling for this guy. Josh McDaniels is reportedly out as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, nonetheless. Not the case, possibly. Hold on. Let's recant that real quick. Again, I might be falling victim to the blue check mark that's going live on Twitter. Now everyone's verified on Twitter. What the hell is happening on Twitter? This says Adam Schefter with the blue check mark. I might have just got live here on 1410 ESPN Radio. My apologies. You know what? Let's stop talking about those Raiders and focus on the other Raiders. How about that? Yes, I made a mistake. I fell for it. I had it highlighted. I was all excited. Couldn't wait to come back, talk about this. Ignore everything I just said. Josh McDaniels is not out. My fault. Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm not really doing a good job of pulling this off, I'm actually pretty pissed off. I'm really confused as to what's happening on Twitter right now. Is it true that everyone can get the blue check mark? I'm not really sure. I use Twitter to pull a lot of stuff off of content for the show and all that. But my goodness, so ignore what I said. Josh McDaniels is not fired, but there is an Adam Schefter with the blue check mark on there, and you click on it, and it's not the actual Adam Schefter. But how does that fake account get a blue check mark? I'm really confused. Yes, Damon Hunt, I agree. He probably should be. I 1,000,000% agree. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me if he did, but I'm really embarrassed and I'm really ticked off at myself right now for falling for that live here. This is why we need Kev here, so because if I read that during the break, normally I'd be looking at Kev saying, "Hey, wow, Adam Schefter just tweeted this out." He would have went and looked at it, and he would have said, "Kenner, you're an idiot. This is a fake account," and then I would have saved myself. Disaster start to the show today. This is why the show needs Kev Nash. I think you can all agree. Mark Smith says you could, for $8 a month, you can be. I can be. Verified on the old check mark on the old Twitter, huh? Nonetheless, yes, you could buy one. Yeah, that's dumb. I ain't paying $8 for that mess. But that really got me. In all seriousness, I'll just go ahead and I'm going to favorite it so you guys know that I'm not making this up. I'm even retweeting it just so that everyone can see that I got. I got live here on Twitter, live here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So I hate this blue check mark thing already. I'm about to be done with the old Twitter as far as that's concerned, nonetheless. All right. But yes, we opened up talking about the rankings reaction. Stephen Kelly, he messages into the show. I have a question. Is Ryan Day calling the same types of run plays every game from the same formation, giving the opponents an easy way to stop Ohio State's running game? Maybe that's the reason CJ Stroud running game was so good. They didn't expect it. Stephen Kelly, look, transitioning now over back to just a regular look. I'm not going to lie. The blue checkmark thing really flustered me. So I'm trying to regather myself here and act like a professional radio host because I'm ticked off and embarrassed by it nonetheless. But that question about the run game with Ohio State, you know what's interesting? I heard Jim Knowles. He was questioned about the progression of Ohio State's defense on the, what was the Buckeye Roundtable the other day. And he kind of stumbled over himself a little bit. And he was saying things like, there's some defense, like this is on the defense. But he was talking about how, like, there's some things on the defensive side of the ball that they haven't unleashed yet because they're not ready to unleash it yet. But talking about, being a first-year, new defense, a first year, obviously his first year with the defense, considering, a new, style that they're putting in. Like he said, he feels pretty good that they're ahead of schedule, all things considered. But I do believe Ohio State, they're acknowledging that they know their schedule is weak as well, because I do believe that everything that they work on in practice, it's not being brought out in game, during the games. I think a lot of times when we sit back and question the play calling ability of Ryan Day, I think for one, that's absolutely ridiculous. I think Ryan Day knows exactly what he's doing. Did he have a bad day at the office this past Saturday? Probably. But the thing that fascinates me is that, like, Ryan Day knows that the weak opponents they have on the schedule, that you're not going to go out there and unleash a lot of these formations and packages that they have, because I think they're going to break a lot of that stuff out for when they do get to that Michigan game. The Michigan game is everything, as we all know. We know that it's the game. It's everything to Ohio State. It's everything to Ryan Day, especially. I think Ryan Day feels the pressure of being responsible, and maybe that's an aggressive way to word it, but he feels responsible for ending the streak of Ohio State against Michigan when Michigan won last year. And I do think he's keeping a lot of things in the chamber on both offense and defense heading into that Michigan game. The Michigan game's big for so many reasons. Look, it's big for the fact that, yes, it's the rivalry that they worship. Okay. I've always thought it's a little silly to wake up and only think about one game out of all the games on your schedule, to only think about that game. Maybe some of that's a little propaganda for the fan base and all that stuff, but they believe it. I think it's silly. I think that the teams and the games they should be really waking up, preparing for the playoffs and and the Alabamas and the Tennessees and the Georgias of the world. Okay. But they focus on Michigan. But the thing that makes Michigan so unique is you don't beat Michigan, you don't get to that portion of the season that you're trying to get to. So it's kind of you know what I mean? Like, Michigan serves a lot of purposes as far as that's concerned. But I do believe that they are hiding things. But the problem is this is why when Ohio State struggles the last couple of weeks, it's like, okay, I know you want to hide certain things for that team up north. You want to hide certain things for when you get to these bigger games, playoffs, Big Ten championship game, whatever. I think they had to get a little creative in that Northwestern game. The bottom line is they got a little too vanilla in their play calling. Keith Byers, you should hear him just scream at the television watching these Ohio State games. When we're live at Submarine House, everyone's turning around like, what the heck is his problem? Because he gets that frustrated watching how vanilla this play calling can be at times. But you could afford to be vanilla against bad teams like Penn State's. We want to say it's not a good football team. Iowa's not a good football team. Northwestern is a god-awful football team. So to answer your question, yes, I do think they kind of keep some things close to the vest as far as that's concerned, so they can unleash it when they get to later on in the season. Kozar, going back to that. Justin, bro, the account literally says Adam Schefter, not. Yes, I get that, but it also just says Adam Schefter at the very top with the blue check mark. Look, it's on me. It's my responsibility to be detail-oriented. There we go. What up, Jake? Jake on Twitter says there was a fake LeBron one that's verified that said he's asking for a trade. So I haven't spent time on Twitter today to realize that these have been making its rounds. So there you go. But yes, Kozar, that is on me. Ron Broadstock on Facebook says there's no doubt in my mind that Day is trying to put Michigan to sleep and not show much. Well, that's fine. You could do that, but don't do it at the expense of the season, because while you're focused so hard on trying to keep hiding your cards before you get to that game, you can't afford to slip up before then. Not that they're going to. The two teams coming up, I have no issues with. Someone asked this question the other day too, something to think about. Ryan Day, What is the temperature on Ryan Day, by the way? Like, we love Ryan Day. I'm not anti-Ryan Day, but I don't feel like the fans have that same connection with Ryan Day that we did with Tressel and that we did with Urban Meyer. Folks, Urban Meyer could do no wrong. Urban Meyer had he had a hold of the fan base. Like, some of you have kind of like let the love for him kind of die down a little bit. But do you remember what was happening with that Zach Smith thing? Like, there was a lot of eerie similarities between Urban Meyer's departure from Ohio State and Bob Knight at Indiana. And what I mean by that is while everyone that can see the wrong that Bob Knight was doing, while everyone could see the wrong that Urban Meyer was doing, the fan base was so locked in and passionate and beloved to him that Bob Knight could do no wrong with Indiana fans. Urban Meyer could do no wrong with Ohio State fans, right? Tressel was just he's a great dude. Like that was just an unfortunate exit for him. He didn't, he deserved a more ceremonial exit from Ohio State than what he got. But I think we all love Jim Tressel. Day's been here for a few years now. I don't feel the same warmth inside for him, or I don't feel like the fan base has that same warmth for him inside as we have for the previous coaches. Am I wrong in saying that? Because this game with Michigan coming up, yes, it's for the playoffs. It's for the Big Ten championship. It's for a lot of things. And I'm definitely not saying it's for Ryan Day's job, but what happens if Ryan Day, who obviously is the head coach of the team that ended the streak against Michigan last year, what if a new streak is started? What if Michigan does pull off the unimaginable and beats Ohio State, not just this season, but for the second straight season? How high, where are we with Ryan Day? Is he untouchable at Ohio State? Has he earned the trust of Buckeye fans that we just sit back and just say, we'll be fine, in Day we trust? In Day, do we trust? That is the question. 518-1410, 518-1410, or, in the comment section on Facebook. This isn't me stirring the pot. When that question came into me earlier today on Facebook, it kind of got me wondering, because the question was, is Ryan Day on the hot seat if they lose to Michigan this year? And I got to thinking, I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. And I'm full of hot takes. I'm full of that Michigan should have been ranked number 2 over the Buckeyes. Joe Burrow's an overrated quarterback. You know me, I'm full of hot takes, full of hot air, right? I don't know what my take is on this, because I would like to say no, absolutely not. But is that true? I don't feel like the fans have that love connection to Ryan Day that we have had with Urban Meyer for the last 8 years before Ryan Day got here, 7 years, whatever it was. Tressel was beloved. Okay. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm really curious about. So to the Facebook page we go. Chad Kinzer says, if Day does the same, it will be the same way. What if Day does the same? What, Chad? I'm sorry. Let me reread this. Urban and Tressel both gave us a championship. So whatever bad games they had got overlooked. Okay. I didn't see your first comment. My apologies, Chad. Yeah, I think so. Cause remember when they lost to Iowa by 30, I never felt Urban get any pressure on that. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those, like, man, what a bad day at the office for Urban Meyer and the Buckeyes. When they got beat 31-0 in the Fiesta Bowl, or not, that wasn't the Fiesta Bowl, but it was against Clemson. There was not pressure, but there was a lot of people starting to question, like, okay, Urban, what's going on? Like, no one wanted him gone. When they lost to Purdue by 30, no one wanted Urban Meyer gone. When all the stuff that came out about Zach Smith, people did not want Urban Meyer gone. Is it just because of the one national championship by Urban Meyer? Was that enough to make him a beloved god amongst Buckeye fans? I think Urban had that same effect before winning that title in 2014, though. Like, I know what you're saying, Chad. Like, once Tressel and Urban won that title, they were kind of bulletproof a little bit, right? Like, I felt like Urban was kind of bulletproof, because even the year they won the national title, they technically weren't supposed to win it that year. You lose Braxton Miller early, then you go to a freshman quarterback in JT Barrett. Like, even if they made the playoff and lost, we didn't expect them to win it. That's what made that season so unexplainable and unimaginable. It's because they won it with a third-string quarterback. If they don't win that national title that year, I don't think we blame Urban Meyer. I think we say, man, good for Urban Meyer for getting the troops to rally behind the situation of going to their third-string quarterback and coming up short. I just feel like this fan base, despite the great recruiting, like, for instance, when we get great recruits, we're talking about Brian Hartline. When Urban Meyer would get recruits, even if it was Al Johnson, even if it was the assistant coaches getting the big recruits to come to Ohio State, we didn't highlight the offensive and defensive coordinators. We said, man, Urban Meyer got another one. Urban Meyer's just recruiting at a high level. Every time we get a big name wide receiver or big name player, the headline's not Ryan Day gets another one. It's, oh man, Brian Hartline doing what he does, right? Like, I just always find that odd. Not stirring the pot, just kind of curious as far as that's concerned. Josh Maloney says not yet, especially if he goes 0-2 with that team up north. Ron Broadstock, I think everyone likes Day, but we're waiting on that national championship, especially how much he cares for the players, and that goes pretty far, in my opinion. Ron Broadstock also brings up that Urban was a hometown guy. He is one of us as him being a Buckeye, right? We all felt Ohio State was a dream job. Same with Tressel. So there you go. But that is very interesting. And that, so Kozar on YouTube says, as a Michigan fan, if they win this year, it's definitely a bigger upset than last year. I feel Michigan is like a Notre Dame team, a bit overrated. Brian Schwederman, Raiders fired Josh McDaniels. Did Patriots become a playoff team again? Brian, did you fall for the same thing I fell for? Yes, I started the show falling for a fake Twitter account. Ha, ha, ha. But nonetheless, all right, I appreciate everyone on the social media side of things. But that's just something I was kind of curious about earlier, thinking about Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes. But we'll get back into that conversation coming up at the top of the hour. The rankings came out last night. Ohio State number 2. College basketball, the Dayton Flyers tipped off the season on Monday night. They beat Lindenwood. They'll be back in action on Friday night at UD Arena as they'll have SMU coming to town. One team that we will see come to UD Arena later in the season will be Davidson, but they're making an extra trip to Dayton this year as they're going to be, they're in Dayton now. They're taking on Wright State tonight at the Nutter Center. The defending A-10 regular season champions from last year will be taking on the Wright State as they tip off the season. Davidson's already tipped off the season. Wright State, their first game of the season coming up tonight. I'm excited to see Amari Davis, the Trotwood kid, but this is a team that went to the first 4 last year, won their first NCAA game in program history. They have a lot of experienced players coming back. Of course, there was a lot of headlines in the offseason. Grant Basile going to Virginia Tech, Tanner Holden going to Ohio State, but a big fan of Amari Davis, who transferred to Wright State and could be the guy that kind of stops the bleeding a bit with some of those key names leaving Wright State. I think Amari is going to be something special. We're going to talk about that with Chris Collins, the voice of the Raiders, when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Want to get a $1,000 Visa card from your Medicare plan? At WellCare, our Medicare Advantage plans are simplified so you can enjoy all the great benefits you care about most. Like our WellCare Flex card, a preloaded debit card that gives you up to $1,000 to pay for extra dental, vision, or hearing expenses not covered by your plan. Like hearing aids, dentures, prescription glasses, co-pays, and more. It's just one more way WellCare is improving every aspect of Medicare to give you access to the top-tier benefits you want most, plus a little extra. To learn more about WellCare, visit wellcareforoh.com today. That's wellcareforoh.com to enroll today. WellCare, it's Medicare done well. Benefits vary by plan. WellCare is the Medicare brand for Centene Corporation, an HMO, PPO, PFFS, PDP plan with a Medicare contract and is an approved Part D sponsor. Our DSNP plans have a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Save on your next project with 11% off everything at Menards. Pick up a Senko Duraspin screw gun to tackle your next install with speed. Senko collated screw guns are great for time-saving installation of underlayment, cement board, and drywall. Senko delivers blazing fast, easy-to-use screw guns. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through November 13th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Have you heard? $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring Class A CDL drivers for home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight with brand new equipment, and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, company 401k. Plus, they're now hiring recent truck driving school graduates. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Ew. Stuck in a cycle of rewashing your clothes? Ugh. Because you can't remove tough laundry odor? Ugh. When detergent by itself can't cut it, use new Downy Rinse and Refresh. With a breakthrough odor-removing formula, it removes odors in one wash, better than the leading value detergent in 3 washes, keeping all your laundry fresh. Now you can break the cycle of rewashing with Downy Rinse and Refresh.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Welcome back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and the Ohio State Buckeyes will be in action coming up on Saturday, another noon kick. They'll have Indiana. Former Ohio State Buckeye Tim Williams and Kev Nash will be live at Submarine House starting at 10:30 a.m., going live throughout the pregame right up until kickoff at noon against the Hoosiers. But former Buckeye Tim Williams, Kev Nash live at Submarine House again in Kettering. That's one of the main locations we've been hanging out at every Saturday for our pregame show, which has been a lot of fun. We love the partnership that we've started this season with Submarine House. Looking forward to that partnership continuing to go throughout the years, of course, but a lot of big games still remaining. Although the opponents may not be that sexy in the couple of weeks gearing up for that team up north, still a lot on the line as Ohio State just continues to try to remain in the top 4, which again, I'm not worried about any team before that team up north getting in the way of that. But again, if you want to go out, find a spot to watch the game, I always say Submarine House is the spot to watch the Buckeyes all season long. Yes, like I said, I know Twitter has now added this weird little feature where for $8, everyone gets that blue little check mark. So people are already doing what everyone was worried about. Adam Schefter, there is a Adam Schefter Twitter account that was created that has a blue check mark. And with that blue check mark, this individual said that Josh McDaniels has been fired by the Las Vegas Raiders. Me, being the dummy that I am, I read it quickly. My eyes got big because I saw the blue check mark. I started talking about it on the air, and then I realized that I got. So Twitter will no longer be a reliable source for me to go get all excited about with any news. But yes, if you're going to continue to make fun of me, I deserve it. I'm making fun of me as well. So the Raiders did not fire their head coach, Josh McDaniels. Speaking of the Raiders, the Wright State Raiders are going to be in action coming up here later on tonight. In fact, they tip off the season at the Nutter Center. They have Davidson coming into town. In fact, the last time the Raiders played here in the Miami Valley, they were showered with "Let's Go Raiders" chants echoing throughout UD Arena when the Raiders won their very first NCAA tournament game in program history and the NCAA First Four at UD Arena last year. Now they're back here in the Miami Valley, back on their home floor at the Nutter Center, and they have all the A-10 regular season champions from last year, Davidson, coming to town. Joining us now to preview tonight's matchup as well as the upcoming season for the Raiders, longtime voice of the Raiders, a good friend of mine, Mr. Chris Collins. Chris, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Hey, Justin. How are you this afternoon? The weather's terrific. Hopefully everybody got outside and enjoyed it a little bit today.
Oh, absolutely. I've been stuck inside. I'm going to be off for a couple of days, so I'm, trying to catch up on a lot of work beforehand. So you talk about how beautiful the weather is. It kind of doesn't feel like basketball season, but there is a big game feel heading into this night's season opener for Wright State. I'm sure you're excited for it. Again, historic season last year for Wright State and a big opponent to tip off the 2022 season.
It is, and I think a lot of the fans are excited to see a team like Davidson, an elite team from the Atlantic 10 Conference, the regular season champions, a year ago, and they took Michigan State, down to the wire in the NCAA tournament. And they feature, I don't know if you've talked about it yet or not, Justin, but looking forward to seeing this guard, Foster Lawyer. He led the nation in free throw shooting last year. He was also the 4th best field goal shooter from outside the 3-point line. Just a tremendous basketball player. But the real big difference with this team this year is Bob McKillop, he's retired after 33 years, a legend in Davidson basketball. He led them to 10 NCAA championships, won over, 600 games, I think it was, down there at Davidson. His son now takes over the program. But it's all about their culture down there. And you look at the roster, not only has the son went to Davidson, but 2 of the top 3 assistants also went to Davidson. So I don't see really any changes with this team as they make their way into the Nutter Center.
Yeah, speaking of changes, although I think the Raiders have 9 returning players from a season ago. Of course, the offseason talk was about, a lot of returning players this year, but the 2 big names that transferred out, Wright State, the victim to the transfer portal last year, losing Tanner Holden to Ohio State, of course, Grant Basile to Virginia Tech. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Major loss with losing out on those 2, but as much as the transfer portal hit Wright State, it also benefited Wright State because I think Coach Nagy and his staff did a very good job of not panicking, and they went out and they got a local kid in Amari Davis, who I've been a fan of for years. I was actually mad that Wright State didn't land him the first go round. They get Amari Davis to transfer in. That's a big-time get for the Raiders, and I think he's going to play a huge role in the team's success this season. Your thoughts on Amari Davis?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, he is a gamer. Coach Brown was telling me he's the kind of kid that, maybe practice, you look at him and you say, yeah, average, whatever. But once the game, the lights come on, he knows what he's doing out there on the floor. And I know he's excited to be back home to play in front of, all the fans here, that, of course, being at Trotwood Madison High School. But, you talk about making up for the scoring difference. That's going to be hard, 38 points per game. But Coach Nagy's not really concerned about the offense. He feels that this team coming into this season may play a little better defensively. At this time of the season, they've looked good in practice defensively. Offensively, hey, let's go back to late to last year. Trey Calvin, I mean, he really showed what he can do shooting the basketball, dishing out for assists. He's just a true combo guard. And you also had Tim Finke, who played very well in the tournament. and also against Arizona in the NCAA tournament. So they think they can get more scoring from those guys, as well as more balanced scoring from guys off the bench. Andrew Wellage, he played a lot better towards the end of last year, and a guy who didn't play at all last year, and I think fans need to keep an eye on is Alex Schubricks. He was injured. He had back surgery last year, and from what I've heard reports out of practice, he has really been playing extremely well. So he'll see some minutes this year. And also a new kid. He's not played for 2 years. I don't know if you've heard about him or not, Justin, but Brandon Knoll, outstanding player at Chillicothe High School, came here, redshirted his first year. He was injured in his ACL. He sat out last year, but the coaches are just beaming about this guy. He has tremendous upside, but he hasn't played in 2 years. So just be patient. I think as the season goes on, you're going to see a very, very good player here at Wright State.
In Coach Nagy's time here, he's been known. I mean, even going back to, South Dakota State before here, he had Dom over there. I mean, he's always had these big time post players. Obviously, he went from Loudon Love, right into Grant Basile. And now there's kind of not a void there, but I guess like a non-familiarity with some of these guys. Brandon Knoll's going to play a role in, filling some of that size as well. But they were able to get a big transfer. I believe it is Sisley is his name, Blake Sisley. Yep. That was a big get from Evansville. He comes in as the viewed as replacement for Grant Basile. It's going to be a team effort to replace Basile. But Sisley, what are some things you're hearing about this kid? Because that was a big time get for them as well. A young kid at that in the offseason.
Well, he was a late bloomer at Evansville last year. Offensively, he has a lot of skills, and it's going to take time. It's like any time, let's say you go to a new job, you got to get to know everybody, you got to get to know the system. So I think just be patient with him, but he has a lot of big time skills, not only down in the post, but he's also a good perimeter shooter. But let's not forget about down in the post and A.J. Braun. He was a kid who was supposed to be redshirted last year, but because of injuries, he was pressed into action, and he's got some experience now. So he's coming into this season, I think, wanting to improve upon the area he had a year ago. So that's a big question mark, Justin. You're right. I think it's going to be the post play this year. The guards, I think, not a problem. Wright State very deep at the guard position. There'll be times when they're playing 4 guards at once. So, we're going to have to keep an eye on that post position because it's very important.
Davidson tonight, Chris. The non-conference schedule, people always have to focus on, the teams that the not so glamorous teams that are on the non-con, but I actually really like this non-con schedule for Wright State. It's a good balance of really good teams out of the MAC. Of course, you get a good A10 opponent coming in. They even have a big one on Saturday. They're going to be at Louisville. And then, of course, Akron. They're going to be at Akron. Of course, they're at Miami of Ohio. And then we know how challenging the conference is going to be when that time comes. But I believe this non-con is it's a good balance of your Power 5 team, of course, with Louisville, with a lot of high-powered teams from some like-sized conferences in the MAC and some others. I do like the non-conference. But usually you get kind of a couple light teams to kind of ease into the season, Chris, but they got Davidson tonight, Louisville on Saturday, and then Bowling Green on Tuesday. 2 home games of the first 3, but man, that's a challenging start to the non-con.
It is, but I think as players, and you talk to the players, they like it. They want to be challenged, because let's face it, you want to get to the Horizon League and you want to be playing your best basketball. And of course, last year, they reinstituted playing 2 games in the league schedule early in December. And Wright State will play against one of the front runners this year for the Horizon League in Youngstown State and Robert Morris in their first 2 games at home, and then finish out the non-conference season, but then get back into the conference season at the end of December. So you want to play the best competition you can, find out who you are, what type of team that you are, because let's face it, last year, an exciting finish in the Horizon League tournament. You get there, you win it. And at this point, the Horizon League is a 1-bid league. And until they start, being able to beat bigger teams during the non-conference and, build their RPI, if they use that anymore, and get 2 teams maybe into the tournament, it may be a while, but that's the big prize, and that's what everybody's gunning for in the Horizon League.
Yeah, Wright State, their win in the NCAA First Four last year, the conference's first tournament win since back in the day when Butler was here. So that was a historic win for not just the conference, but for the program on top of that. The season's tipping off tonight, Chris, but you've been doing these games for quite some time. But just take me back. I was there, with you, of course, during that run for Wright State before heading into the first round against Arizona, but the championship win in Indianapolis against Northern Kentucky, and then that first 4 win. That was just a surreal moment, especially the significance of doing it here in Dayton at UD Arena. And hearing the echoes of Let's Go Raiders kind of filling UD Arena, just the irony and all of that. It was such a unique scene that's in the past. I get that. But just, before we tip off tonight, one more time, just your thoughts on how that all went down last year and how special that was for your career as the voice of Wright State, but also just the program in general.
Justin, I think you summed it up in one word as you were introducing it, and that's surreal. I mean, it was. It's almost like you're saying, what is happening, right now? It all happened so fast. The game could have gone either way in Indianapolis against a very good Northern Kentucky team. But the Raiders took that win, and it's like, hey, we're going to the NCAA tournament. Then they find out they're going to be in the first four in Dayton. A lot of people got excited, get a chance to see them at home. And, I think it was wonderful. The crowd that showed up for that game and the atmosphere, it was tremendous. And the players told us when we had to go immediately and get on a bus after the game and then wait for about an hour and a half on our charter flight to fly 4 hours cross country from at midnight and got in at 4 a.m. Eastern time out in San Diego. Everybody talked about the chills the players did that they got here saying, let's go Raiders. That meant a lot to them. They were juiced. They were ready to play. They thought they had a good chance against Arizona, a very talented team. And I thought they were competitive, against them in that game. But, coming home on that plane ride, I think people had a chance to reflect upon, what they accomplished, all that goes into a season, even for myself and, Jim Brown, who'd have thought with the start that they had last year that they would end up in that situation.
And what's interesting about all of that, too, is the last time Wright State made the NCAA tournament, what would that have been, 19? Or was it 18 or 9? I think it was 19. They didn't
17
or 17. I'm so sorry. My fault. Yeah, but so they start to have this success. They get to that NCAA tournament. They get a couple NIT, bids. They're starting to build. And then the COVID hits. And then the momentum of the crowds getting bigger and bigger each year kind of came to a halt. It's going to be exciting this year after that tournament run to kind of see what impact that has, especially with Davidson coming to town, what kind of crowd they get tonight, of course, because for the first time in a long time, this program, like when the fans come, it's not just coming because there's some kind of promotional giveaway that night. They're coming because they are fans of this team and fans of the players on there. I'm excited for tonight just to feel that energy coming off of that historic season last year.
Well, you certainly hope so. You really do. And, you mentioned it earlier, I think it was like bittersweet. Everybody was excited because of the accomplishments coming back. But then a few weeks later after the tournament, they find out that their top two scorers decided to use the NIL and move on to other squads. But the Raiders have come up with some good talent. They have 9 players returning. Guys who were injured last year back, like I mentioned, and Alex Hubricks like that. And you'll see more out of Tim Finke as far as scoring is concerned, and also Trey Calvin. It'll be fun to watch this team because, to be honest with you, the coaches said to me, they want to run more. It's going to be exciting. It's not going to be a slowdown back to the basket team. They're going to dictate, dictate the game, how the game goes. So it'll be a fun team to watch. It's guard oriented. If they make their shots and play good defense, I know it sounds easy, Justin, but, they'll be fun to watch, and who knows what will happen in the Horizon League.
I know in media you're not supposed to bring up competing radio stations, but HIO lost a good one. By the way, this isn't basketball related, but you seem more wide awake during the day than I can remember the last time I talked to you. But HIO radio lost a good one yourself after 25 years, 37 years behind a microphone. You called it a career. You retired. You're still the voice of Wright State, but a long time, radio career. You called it a career recently. So congratulations on the retirement.
Justin, thank you. I thought about it, for about a year, and I just decided, getting up over 30 years, early in the morning, not only with HIO, but also Mix 107.7, all those years. And I thought I can do it. I found out, and my wife's been great, we're going to be just fine. And I'm semi-retired. That was pointed out to me by a good friend. You're semi-retired. You're not totally retired because you're still doing Wright State basketball. But it's great. A lot of people have been tremendous. The people I worked with at HIO, super people, from Brittany Otto, Larry Hanskin, and all of them down the line, and Nick Roberts. There's a lot of people there that, I made friends with, not only just as coworkers, but they're tremendous, over the years. It went by fast, but you know what? You turn the page and you move on to a new chapter.
Well, damn, Chris, I said, you could bring up one competitor. You got to bring up Mix 107.7 now, too. Want to add anything else? No, I'm just joking. Well, I mean, 980, you could catch Wright State basketball with Chris Collins. Now, we might as well add one more into the mix, right?
Well, that and ESPN Plus.
Yes,
all right.
There we go. That ties in. That's what we
will be there with it.
Yeah, but no, Chris, thank you so much. Congratulations on your retirement, but I'm glad you haven't retired from Wright State basketball. I'm looking forward to seeing you and Jim tonight at the game. So thanks so much.
Always a pleasure, Justin. Look forward to seeing you tonight.
All right, there he is, the voice of the Wright State Raiders, Chris Collins, Wright State in Davidson tonight at the Nutter Center, 7 o'clock. The tip-off, of course, WSU Raiders. Check out the website, WSURaiders.com. Check out the website. You can still get tickets for tonight, Wright State Davidson at the Nutter. We'll be right back. Hour 2 next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 E.
Family come to visit with an entrance full of LED lights that will welcome them and the holidays with open arms. Get the holiday magic started early. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
You can't get much for $5 these days, unless you go to Wendy's for a $5 Biggie Bag. Get your choice of double stack, junior bacon cheeseburger, or crispy chicken BLT, plus 4-piece nugs, fries, and a drink, all for just $5. That was smooth, wasn't it? That's how you're going to feel when you get that Biggie Bag at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes 4-piece nuggets, small soft drink, and small fry. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Hi there, I'm your host, Dog, filling in for the human who's normally here and bringing you the smells and sounds of the holidays, courtesy of Beggin' Dog Treats.
We wish you a begging Christmas. We wish you a begging Christmas. Dog rest ye merry Doberman, let begging you acquire. Deck the halls with strips of begging. Arf, 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 arf.
Remember, for bacon-loving dog excitement this holiday,
It's begging! The Wendy's $3 breakfast deal is here. Get a bacon or sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant, plus a small seasoned potatoes. That's a better breakfast for just $3 in 3 easy steps. 1, wake up. 2, get out of bed. And 3, head to Wendy's for your $3 breakfast deal. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $3 breakfast deal.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours. Select a request $3 breakfast deal in order to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combos orders. Price and participation may vary in Alaska and Hawaii.
Your daily commute. You could do it alone. The downside is spending thousands each year on gas, parking, and vehicle maintenance, not to mention the air pollution you're causing. There is a smarter way. Introducing GoHio Commute. What is GoHio Commute? It's a free service with info on commuting options like ride matching for carpoolers, van poolers, and bike poolers, and links to local public transit providers. Go to MiamiValleyRideshare.org or call 223-SAVE for details. GoHio Commute, a smarter way.
The Ohio Education Association congratulates Larry Carey, a positive behavioral interventions and supports coordinator in Columbus City Schools, this week's education champion.
The reason why I wanted to be a PBIS coordinator for the district is it was all about relationships, keeping those relationships with teachers, educators, and stakeholders. I'm super passionate about that. I still can get to go into a classroom and maybe work one-on-one with a student. I still get to train teachers on how to build those relationships. That's why I do it.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Down the sideline to the 10 and drags a defender in the end zone for a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba. A 50-yard scoring strike from C.J. Stroud. He'll hit the Purdue 40. Down the left side to the 30. Henderson to the 20, to the 10. And into the end zone goes Henderson.
Don't miss the Buckeyes all season long. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio and on 92.9 Jack FM. Go Bucks. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, welcome in. I'm Justin Kinner, hanging out with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Shout out to the voice of the Wright State Raiders, Chris Collins. He just joined us, of course, to preview tonight's Raiders season opener at home at the Nutter Center as they welcome in Davidson out of the A-10. So before that, we were talking about Ohio State and the expectations for the program. I was talking about the Buckeye Bias. And, anytime you hear the word bias, there's a negative connotation to it. I want to finish our conversation from earlier, so just bear with me here. When you hear the word bias, there's always a negative connotation to it, and it drives me nuts. For instance, I get told all the time, "Oh, Kenner, you're media. You're not supposed to have a bias towards against the Cincinnati Bengals." Well, you want me to have a bias for the Cincinnati Bengals. Is that it? Because I don't believe in media that there is such thing as non-bias. Like, I don't think it's possible. Everything you write, everything you say is biased in some way or another because of how you feel. It's your opinion. It's your emotion. It's this, it's that. My feelings on the Bengals is my feelings on the Bengals. It's not to get a reaction from you. I don't care how unprofessional I sound, dislike the Cincinnati Bengals, just like you genuinely dislike the Cleveland Browns. I'm a fan just like you. I just have a mic in my face every day from 3 to 6. Not a whole lot of difference. But let's be clear here. If you drive down an hour south to Cincinnati, or you turn on 700 WLW, or you turn on, ESPN 1530. Again, I don't play the whole unwritten rules of not bringing up the competition. They're not even real competition. Whatever. It's not the point. But when you turn on their radio stations, you as a Bengals fan, hear them say nice things about your team. Your team is 5-4 and underperforming right now. However, you're going to hear great things about your team when you tune into them. Do you think that they're not biased? Do you think that Lance McAllister and Mo Egger are not biased? Do you think that, you know what I mean? Like, they're fans of the Bengals. Like, they're biased. And I'm not accusing them of anything bad. I'm just telling you, like, bias exists everywhere. So this SEC bias that everyone talks about, it drives me crazy because it's not necessarily a bias. It's the reality of it. Like, that's the best conference in college football. Shaw sent me a weird message on Facebook saying that I'm overvaluing the SEC. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys, it's exhausting dealing with some of you because the conference has won 3 straight national titles. 3 different teams have won those 3 straight national titles. And there was a weird point where we thought Tennessee was going to be the SEC school that wins it this year that would have made it 4. But Tennessee is a legitimate national title contender. I don't care that they lost to Georgia. That loss might actually help them. The loss might help them get to the playoff because they don't have to play that extra game now. Tennessee can win out. They have 3 beyond winnable games. Like, they're going to end the season with just 1 loss. And they're still going to have that win over, they're still going to have those big wins on their resume, including the win over Alabama. And their only loss is against the SEC champion, Georgia. Like, they're in. There's a good chance that they're in when it's all said and done. TCU is going to lose to Texas this week, and it is what it is. So the bias thing drives me crazy. People love to throw the word bias around to try to discredit anything that is said that we don't agree with. If you turn on CNN, guess what? How many Republicans actually, it's biased towards the Democrats, right? And then, if you turn on Fox, the Democrats, that's biased towards the Republicans. You guys, that's what happens. You turn on the networks that tell you what you want to hear, right? And where WING, the conflict that I present for our radio station is that as a Reds affiliate, as a Buckeye affiliate, as a sports talk radio show here in the city with the Dayton Flyers. And I don't drool over these teams like the other media members do. I think that the other media members in town, with all due respect, they become a little bit too big of fans of the teams that they follow. And I say that because I do it too. I'm a fan of the Cleveland Browns, the team I follow. I'm a fan of the Wright State Raiders. That's why I beyond love just hanging out with Chris Collins there. Wright State doesn't get the attention that they deserve in this city either. They also play basketball in this city. As great as UD is, and they have a fantastic team this year. There's only one team in this city that has been to the NCAA tournament 2 times in the last 5 years, and it is not Dayton. Now, does that make me a hater for pointing out facts? Some of you are getting your thongs in a bunch. That's fine. Others of you are like, well, that's common sense, Kenner. That's a fact, and that's true. I'm not saying anything as one team's better than the other. I'm not saying Wright State's better. Wright State's the face of it. No, I'm just acknowledging that. But it drives people crazy. For instance, I went to commercial break after talking with Chris Collins, and you do know this is a Dayton Flyers city, right? Got that right away. Right away. Ignorant, moronic, stupid. I can't say that enough to the people who actually think that way. It's a waste of my time. And I may be a waste of yours, and that's fine, but I appreciate you listening anyways. Point is bias exists everywhere. So can we stop with the lazy bias talk to just try to discredit opinions that we don't agree with? It's annoying. So there, that's out of the way. But the point is, sometimes a bias could be a good thing for you, especially here in this city. Let's just say Dayton Flyers basketball, for instance. They haven't made the NCAA tournament since Anthony Grant has been here, but the media drools over them still, as they should, right? It's Dayton. Like the name of the school is the name of the city, of course. But there's a bias towards the Dayton Flyers in this city, and it fits what you like, so it's okay to have a bias, right? If there's a bias towards the SEC, it's a problem because you don't like the SEC, right? Bias is only a problem if it's towards something you hate, or if it's towards something that is, or if something is said that you disagree with, so that's really what it comes down to. So with that being said, there is a bias that benefits you as Buckeye fans, and it's called the Buckeye Bias. Okay. Ohio State being number 2. Last night, the college football playoff rankings came out. Ohio State came in at number 2. Ohio State has no business being the number 2 team in the country right now. They have not established their run game in 3 straight weeks. They couldn't even run the football on Northwestern. Now, I know Mayan Williams rushed for 111 yards. They had 200 total yards rushing. About 80 of that came from the quarterback, who finally decided to run late in that fourth quarter, but nothing on the ground came in dominant number 2 team in the country fashion. I'm being critical, but that is what it is. But why did Ohio State get the benefit of the doubt and remain at number 2? It wasn't because of the wind, folks, because they played absolutely horrible. They couldn't tackle. That had nothing to do with the wind. They couldn't stop the quarterback for a 1-7 team at the time from continuously picking up first down. I mean, how many? They had 18. They converted 18 first downs. They outplayed Ohio State. They just didn't outscore Ohio State. Ohio State outscored Northwestern. Northwestern outplayed Ohio State. They had more total yards than Ohio State, folks. Like, come on. Wind? No. Number 2 team in the country when Northwestern has more total yards than you? No. You didn't outplay Northwestern. You outscored them on accident because you're the number 2 team in the country. But no, they shouldn't be the number 2 team in the country, but they are, because of the Buckeye Bias, because the committee knows how good this roster is. The committee knows how good this program is. The committee knows this. So next time you complain about the SEC bias, just keep in mind that same bias that exists for Alabama. Keep in mind that committee is still trying to look at them and say, man, how could we get them in? Is there a path for Alabama? And you're screaming, saying, absolutely not. But the bias kind of says that there's might be a shot, right? That's the same bias that exists for Ohio State. It's not an SEC bias. It's an elite program bias. And Ohio State, even last year, they, losing to Oregon, losing to Michigan, there was still talks of Ohio State. What could happen to potentially get them into the college football playoff last year? It didn't happen, of course, but their name was still being brought up. And there was scenarios last year that I'm like, really? Ohio State, after losing to Michigan and Oregon, they're still being brought up for the playoff? Like, yes, the same bias that you guys whine and cry about exists for the Buckeyes as well. Ohio State being at number 2, it's not because they're the number 2 team in the country, because they're not. They don't deserve it. They are there because of bias, just like Alabama was still, ranked in the top 10 with 2 losses because of that bias. I'm finally admitting that, yes, there's a bias, but that bias exists because it's well-earned and it's deserved. The SEC deserves the bias, and so does Ohio State. And the same rules that the SEC plays by, Ohio State's benefiting for that as well. So be careful what you wish for, Buckeye fans, because for those of you who truly wish for the SEC bias to go away, you better be careful what you ask for, because if that bias goes away, so does the bias for Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't deserve to be at number 2 any more than Alabama deserves to be in the top 10. Well, Alabama doesn't deserve it, either does the Buckeyes. But the bias has them both there. Bottom line, Tennessee's at 5. Tennessee still has a chance to make the playoff, and they're not going to win an SEC championship. Bias. Ohio State has that same bias. We've seen it. Remember when Ohio State lost to Penn State? Ohio State, not only did they not win their conference championship, they didn't even win their division, and they still made the playoff because of bias. Spare me the crybaby excuse making with the bias talk. I don't want to hear it. I want to ban it from the show. How about that? Lazy bias talk, man. Ohio State, it's Buckeye bias. They've earned it. They deserve it. They don't deserve the number 2 team in the country marker right now. You don't barely hold on to, you got outgained and outplayed by Northwestern. You don't get to do that and be the number 2 team in the country, but you do. And there's bias. Enjoy it. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be partly cloudy, a high near 72. Tonight's going to be mostly clear, a low near 45. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
At the UPS Store, we know this upcoming holiday is when things can get busy for small business owners.
Exactly. My to-do list and I don't take days off.
That's why you can count on us to be open and ready to help with every small business need, whether it's packing and shipping or if it's just to check your mailbox.
That's almost everything on my to-do list. My list and I can take the day off.
Your local, the everything to help you be unstoppable store. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. The UPS Store locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Why wait to save? Dell Technologies Black Friday event arrives early with select deals on top tech to power business productivity. The savings start now with up to 48% off performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, including free shipping on everything. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Black Friday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Have you heard? $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring Class A CDL drivers for home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight with brand new equipment, and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, company 401k. Plus, they're now hiring recent truck driving school graduates. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Uma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Uma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Uma?
Yep. Switching to Uma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Uma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Uma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Uma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
I'm Tamron Hall. Doesn't your family deserve the best? Eggland's best eggs, classic, cage-free, and organic, give you and your family more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Buckeye football season is back. That means tailgating and parties for the big game. You need the Lee's famous recipe Buckeye Bucket. It comes with 25 pieces of the delicious jumbo breast strips for only $44.99. Of course, you can add a few of their famous country side items, buttermilk biscuits, gallons of fresh brewed Lee's iced tea, or lemonade. You have the perfect recipe for a tailgate or watch party. Cheer on the Buckeyes this weekend with a Buckeye Bucket. Order today.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
How did hiring the right person become so difficult? Well, it doesn't have to be. Alpha Digital already has targeted databases built of very qualified candidates that are just looking for the right opportunity. That allows you to target exactly who you're trying to reach with a budget that is customized just for you. Learn about all the possibilities by going to alphamediadigital.com today. Find your next star employee with alphamediadigital.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Hurry in to Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 instant gift. Mattresses and bases are in stock for fast delivery. With our Love Your Mattress guarantee, get the lowest price and 120 nights to sleep on it. Only at Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
It's pro time because at Lowe's, it's Provember. Save big with inventory you can count on, like Flex products or DeWalt power tools starting at just $99. Plus, Lowe's MVPs members earn up to 3 times bonus points per dollar on select items. Save all Provember long. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. MVP's Pro Rewards Program terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms. Subject to change. Prices valid from 10/17/22 to 2/3/23 or until supplies last.
You need employees.
Tell me about it.
Actually, tell us about it.
Why?
Because when you tell us about your job openings, we can tell over 300,000 other people.
You can?
Yeah, whether you're looking for a job or a better job, Alpha Media Recruitment can help fill any position with qualified job seekers with a custom plan that combines our broadcast and digital platforms.
You can do that?
It's what we do. Alpha Media Dayton, on air, on site, on demand. Call 937-519-0111. That's 937-519-0111. Or email DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com. That's DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinnerback with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. College basketball season officially underway. Chris Collins joined us earlier in the show, voice of the Wright State Raiders. Dayton Flyers, they tipped off their season on Monday, a win against Lindenwood. They have SMU coming up. Talking Out Loud, hosted by Sully, an entire hour dedicated to Dayton Flyers basketball talk, coming up immediately following the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, tonight from 6 to 7. Every Wednesday throughout the college basketball season, Talking Out Loud, which is, of course, one of the most popular Dayton Flyers, the most popular Dayton Flyers podcast out there, coming to radio form, of course. 6 to 7 is when you can catch it every Wednesday right here. But make sure you download the Talking Out Loud podcast with Sully anywhere that you download your podcast. So keep an eye out for that. But really cool. Excited to be working with him again. In fact, Sully's going to be live at Tim's Bar and Grill coming up on, they'll be live at Tim's on Friday from 5 to 6:30 for the Dayton Flyers pregame show live from Tim's. And, of course, the Talking Out Loud show on WING every Wednesday from 6 to 7 presented by Tim's. But keep in mind, Friday night, 5 to 6:30 right here on 1410 Wing AM. They'll be pulling an hour from our show. You'll be listening to Sully live at Submarine House. Tonight, Dukes from Barstool Sports is going to be on live with Sully coming up immediately following the show later on. So Major League Baseball wrapped up its season, World Series, Dusty Baker, Houston Astros, World Series champs. I think that it was important for Dusty Baker to come to Houston and save Houston, mainly because of the fact that, look, I'm always a firm believer that I think all teams bend the rules in some capacity or another. I think that the difference between the Houston Astros and the majority of other teams in college and pro is they got caught, others haven't. I think that there's, we're talking about, there's so much money and there's just so much on the line for there not to be always some kind of tweaking of the rules or bending of the rules when it comes to organizations out there, right? Like, it's high leverage stakes. So it's just one of those where I thought that no one was going to give the Houston Astros any kind of credit, but I feel like we're kind of witnessing a little bit of a mini dynasty happening in Major League Baseball right now. And it's not the Yankees. It's not the Dodgers. It's the Houston Astros. Like, this is a team that I think that because, and it was self-inflicted, it was them causing the stir. They cheated. They got caught. They lost their manager, right? They had to, they got booed. I mean, there was extra security protocols put in place for every ballpark in Major League Baseball last year and this year because of how disliked this Houston Astros team is. They're disliked by the opposing team. Rules had to be put in place so that opposing teams could not throw at them. Houston, they created, it's not Houston, we have a problem. It's Houston created quite the problem as far as that's concerned. Well, I mean, they deserve all the heat that they got. But at the same time, I don't think that the dynasty that we are seeing should be thrown out because of what had happened, with the cheating scandal. Because I think every team cheats in some capacity or another. All right. I think in college, it's the same. I think sometimes even in high school, sometimes it's even worse at the high school level, right? Like, it's pretty gross sometimes. But I bring all this up because Dusty Baker is such a likable figure that he was the absolute perfect gem of a manager to go out and land when it came to not just continuing to keep this team winning, but to kind of resurrect the image of the franchise. And that was, to me, the biggest takeaway from watching the Astros. And by the way, it's Wednesday, and we're just now getting to this. The World Series wrapped up over the weekend. We're just now getting to it. But that was my biggest takeaway. It was not that the Astros won the World Series. It's that Dusty Baker won the World Series. This is a guy that has won everywhere that he went. And I have no clue why so many people try to discredit this man. I think he is a great person. I think he's a great manager. He was a great player. He won a World Series as a player. He's now done it in 25 years as a manager. He's now done it as a manager. He came so close so many times. He won a ton in Chicago. He won a ton in Cincinnati. He got to a World Series with the Giants, right? Like, came this close with the best player of all time in Barry Bonds, the most dominating player ever in Barry Bonds. And y'all can have your opinion if you want. That's fine. That's my opinion. That's another guy that I'm like, you know what? Cheating, kind of stupid of him to cheat. Yes, whatever. But it does, I could take steroids and go play baseball. I'm not Barry Bonds. Steroids doesn't make Barry Bonds Barry Bonds. Like, you guys know that, right? Barry Bonds was only as good as he was because of steroids. Stop it. You know how many people took steroids during that time? And you know how many Barry Bonds? There was one. There was one. He was one of a kind. Dusty Baker is one of a kind. He's a hell of a person. He's a hell of a manager. He deserved it. And he announced today that he is going to come back and manage for another season with the Houston Astros. Dusty Baker, the article that was released earlier, chased his first World Series title as a manager. The former big league outfielder would always say if he won one, he'd like to win two. And that's what he's doing now. Right now, I wish Dusty would kind of retire and just call it a career, go out on top. You spent 25 years chasing this. I would love the lasting memory that we see of Dusty Baker in baseball to be hoisting it up. I feel like the next headline with Dusty is going to be Dusty Baker fired as manager, right? You're hired to be fired. And, we watched this with Tom Brady. You should have went out 2 years ago, right? Like, maybe even last year when you've led that comeback, you would have been remembered for leading that comeback. I know you fell short. That was more of the defense's problem. But like, sometimes the lasting memory of these guys, there was so much talk of Aaron Rodgers retiring last year. He should have. He would have retired as an MVP. Tom Brady would have retired as the legend that he is and not the guy that we're seeing now, right? Michael Jordan should have never came back for the Wizards. Right? Like, it is what it is. Dusty Baker, I wish he would retire, but I'm so glad at the same time that he's coming back because I think he can get another one. The Houston Astros are as close to a dynasty as we have in sports right now, outside of in professional sports, I should say, because college, that's still Alabama. I know all of you guys want to write Alabama off, but you do realize that this is a team that is still one of the most dominating recruiting teams in the country, just was in the national title game last year, in both losses against top 10 opponents by a combined 4 points, but that's besides the point. The Houston Astros, from a professional sports standpoint, baseball, it's the hardest sport to make the playoffs, and yet all they do is make the playoffs. All they do is get to the American League Championship Series. They've been to 2 World Series since 2007. They've won 2 of them now. They've lost another. They've been to 3 World Series in the last 5-6 years. This is a dynasty, not the Dodgers. Houston. Houston, we have a dynasty. This is as close to a dynasty as you see in baseball anymore. Back in the day, because of how dominant the Yankees were, we didn't consider the Atlanta Braves a dynasty. By today's standards, because of how tough it is, that the Braves were a dynasty in the 90s, right? But they only won one. This Astros team has won 2. They've been to 3. So I'm a big fan of Dusty Baker. He deserved it. 73 years old, earning his first World Series championship as a manager. So good for him, and I'm glad he's coming back. He wanted another year, so that's what we gave him. The owner of the Houston Astros said in this quote on ESPN.com, he's a legend, and he's really done a lot for the team. He's done more for the team than win them a World Series, man. He came back. You got to understand, this was the most hated team, and still probably is in baseball. They are more hated than the Yankees, more hated than the Dodgers. They legitimate hate and disdain and whatever for this team. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, I'm glad he's coming back. He deserves it. But he got, it was one thing he was the lone likable figure that would arrive in each opposing ballpark throughout the season. People booed the Astros. They honed in on Dusty Baker, the likable figure leaning outside the dugout with a toothpick in his mouth. Big Dusty Baker fan. The Reds, they lost that divorce. The Reds, to me, the biggest mistake they've made. We did this topic a few weeks ago. What was the biggest mistake the Reds have made in your lifetime? The biggest mistake that the Reds have made in my lifetime, it wasn't the contract for Homer Bailey. It wasn't the Joey Votto contract. It wasn't the Joey Votto money instead of Brandon Phillips. The biggest mistake the Reds have made in my lifetime was firing Dusty Baker because they believed that they could do better. And they haven't even come close since. Not even a little. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. But good news as far as that's concerned. Last thing here on the way, before we head into the next part of the show, but keep in mind, I hate Twitter now. I got earlier. Adam Schefter with the blue check mark announced that Josh McDaniels had been fired from the Raiders. And I believed it. And I came onto the show trying to be Mr. Radio host. Breaking news out of the NFL, Adam Schefter from ESPN announced that the Raiders have parted way with Josh McDaniels. The blue check mark. There's a lot of power that comes with that blue check mark. Mr. Billionaire Elon Musk, with all the brains that he has, didn't think this one through because there's a lot of people imitating others with the blue check mark, and I got. So I'm mad. I'm mad at everyone. I'm mad at Twitter. I'm mad at a lot today because I got. But yes, Josh McDaniels has not been fired yet, at least. As far as that's concerned. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We'll be right back in just a moment.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Your daily commute. You could do it alone. The downside is spending thousands each year on gas, parking, and vehicle maintenance, not to mention the air pollution you're causing. There is a smarter way. Introducing GoHio Commute. What is GoHio Commute? It's a free service with info on commuting options like ride matching for carpoolers, van poolers, and bike poolers, and links to local public transit providers. Go to MiamiValleyRideshare.org or call 223-SAVE for details. GoHio Commute, a smarter way.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
Hey Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for two to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 tickets to the big game. One bowl prize winner will be chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
We are racing at Hollywood Dayton Raceway. Catch the excitement Tuesday through Saturday afternoons. Post time is 4 p.m. Be there this Saturday for your chance to win one of 5 big screen televisions, Roku sticks with subscriptions to Racetrack Television Network, and gift cards to the Skybox restaurant. That's this Saturday at Hollywood Dayton Raceway. Post time is 4 p.m. Be a winner at Hollywood Dayton Raceway.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
All right, and we are back. Second college football playoff rankings released last night. Georgia, no surprise, moves to number 1. Ohio State remains at 2. Michigan makes the jump to number 3. And then there was a lot of kind of people wondering who was going to be sitting there at number 4. Would Tennessee just jump back to 4? I think they should have been at 4, but TCU gets the nod. I think TCU gets beat by Texas, and then we no longer have to pretend to care about TCU. Let's just be real. TCU will be taken care of here momentarily, and then we don't have to worry about them being in the way. Every year we have that charity case team that we have to pretend that we care about. I thought the Bearcats were that the last couple of years, that we all deep down knew they weren't one of the big boys, but hey, we had to pretend that, well, wins have to matter. Yeah, well, who you beat matters, and Cincinnati didn't really play anybody. They played Notre Dame. That's cool. Notre Dame, a good football team, or Cincinnati, good football team last year. I don't think they needed to be in the playoff, but they were in the playoff because no one else was worthy of getting that number 4 spot. Like literally every domino that needed to fall for that scenario to happen happened. So good for them, nonetheless. But yes, so then there's LSU at 7, Oregon coming in at 6, Tennessee at 5. And the big question is, okay, like the thing about the rankings I've always been fascinated by. Do we really need to have teams in the rankings that have no shot at winning? And this is why I don't think we need 25 teams in the college football playoff rankings. Why have, this isn't like March Madness, like the NCAA tournament, a top 25. You have a top 25 for a field of 68. There are going to, you know what I mean? Like, do the math. Like, that's what's crazy about all of that. There's almost 20 teams who make the tournament that don't even sniff the top 25. So, of course, the top 25 in college basketball matters. It means something. I don't think it means anything in college football. It's a top 4. You don't need a top 25 to build a 4-team playoff. I think you need a top 10. And I think that once you are like Alabama is not making the playoff this year, do we really need to have them holding a spot in the rankings when they can't really move up anymore? I think the ceiling for Alabama is 5, if that even makes sense. They're done. Get them out of there. Get Alabama out of there. Penn State, they're a 2-loss team. They're not in the top 10. I get that, but why do they even need a spot? They don't need to be ranked. I just think at a certain point, the haves and the have-nots, and we got to stop doing this charity case thing for teams like TCU because, well, they remain unbeaten in a bad conference. We know this. We know this. Why do we continue to try to do this thing where we got to be fair? All right. We got to, and then I'm the jerk. And then people talk to me like I'm crazy. The people that are trying to argue that TCU is a legit top 4 team are telling me that I'm crazy. I don't think TCU should be there. I don't think this should be there. Kirk Herbstreit does this whole little pity thing last night, interviewing the head coach at TCU and saying, sir, I don't understand why, we have villainized this idea that coming back, because, we're talking about how much TCU has had to come back in games. I mean, we should be praising the fact this is what I'm talking about. If Ohio State trailed in games against non-top 25 opponents, and hell, even non-top 10 opponents, we criticize them. We criticize Ohio State for what they did against, obviously, Northwestern. But TCU, we can't do that. If Ohio State came from behind to beat Northwestern in the fourth quarter, would we consider that what a magical comeback win? But no, it would be a bad win. It'd be a bad, you don't come back. You don't come from behind to beat bad teams. So why do we do that? If we are looking at the top 4 teams and have the same narrative for each, why are we trying to move the goalposts here and say, well, my goodness, that was a fantastic effort. Fantastic effort. Great comeback, TCU. But if Ohio State came back against some of the opponents that TCU's had to come from behind to win, are we saying that that's a good win? If Georgia had to come from behind to beat some of the opponents that TCU had to play, would we be doing this whole oh man, what a magical come from behind victory? No, we wouldn't. The TCU is this year's charity case. Every year there's a charity case when it comes to college football playoff talk. And this year it's TCU who moved up 3 spots in the rankings and took that number 4 spot. I mean, my goodness, coming from behind. West Virginia. They had to come from behind to beat West Virginia. They had to come from behind to beat a 4-loss Texas Tech team. They won 34-24. You have to come from behind to beat a 4-loss Texas Tech team? If Georgia had to come from behind in the fourth quarter to beat them, would we be praising Georgia? No. I'm tired of gotta be polite to these teams. No, we are learning about college athletics. There's nothing polite or amateur about it. It's cutthroat. It is business. It's big business. Haves, have nots. TCU's a have not. I don't care how many wins they have and how little to no losses that they don't have. They haven't beat anyone of significance. Give me a break. Kansas looked like a good win. It's not a good win anymore. Oklahoma is a dumpster fire. We got to stop doing this. Texas, they're going to play Texas this week. What's the line on that? I am very curious. The lines, that's the other thing too. TCU, number 4 in the country. I'm curious to see what the line is in this game because their lines have not been impressive either. Vegas tells us if they're legit or not. Yes. The number 4 team in the country, folks, is a touchdown underdog against Texas, who has 3 losses. I'm just saying. TCU is a charity case, and I'm not donating to it this year. I'm just not. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Yeah, Matt, thank you. Yeah, Texas favored by 7. That's just insane to me. I'm not a big believer in that. So, yeah. Steven, I've already answered that for you. Yesterday, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, he joined the show yesterday. He does every Tuesday ahead of the playoff rankings release. So want to go back and listen to that. A lot of good stuff. We talked about Ohio State and Northwestern. We talked about Ohio State's chances of winning a national championship. Is Alabama, they're legitimately done, right? And what's the ceiling for LSU? LSU, could they still make the playoff even with 2 losses? We talked about that with Jason Fitz. If you missed that interview, we have it for you right here. There's some stuff that you may hear and say, well, the poll already came out last night. This was our conversation with the ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz on yesterday's show. Take a listen. Former Ohio State Buckeye Tim Williams and Kev Nash will be live at the Submarine House coming up this Saturday. Starting at